a very interesting story from the shipping industry of a pirate group that boarded a ship in the Horn of Africa a couple of years ago. And they didn't go for the captain and say, we want X amount of money from your company, otherwise we're going to sink the ship or kill your crews or whatever. It was a standard piracy pattern. They went for one of the containers. They knew exactly which container, where it was in the loading pattern of the ship. They broke it open, which is no big deal because the seal is worth nothing. And they went for one particular box in the container, took it away, left. And no one knew anything about what was in it because, of course, the loading manifest didn't give any details. So it turned out that the pirates had managed to, someone on their behalf had managed to hack the loading manifest of the ship. And they knew exactly what was on it, and they knew exactly where the high-value cargo was. That was all that interested them. And this is the kind of thing that can happen as a result of data being stolen, hacked, whatever you want to call it. And you're probably going to find many other similar examples in shopping malls where a particular jeweler is rolled over because there's information that he's got a particular high-value jewel, whatever it might be. It just happens that this is part of the maritime field, and it's something that nobody had thought about before. And we're going to see all sorts of other unexpected crimes taking place as a result of data leakage. And people do not understand the value of the data they're holding. Ships have been made to collide by hacking. So you've got a very, very big range of things that can go wrong. And most of the people in the industry just don't have a clue. I saw a report about a week ago written by a hacking company, what's called a white hat hacking company, that specializes in certain industries, including maritime. I know the people and I know them to be reliable. And they discovered, for example, when analyzing the cybersecurity even of expensive private yachts worth many, many millions, that there was almost no security. Essential systems were not protected with strong passwords, they were not protected with encryption, there was no separation of networks. So basically, once you got into any one place in the boat's network, then you got into everything. In some cases, you've got people who are running very, very valuable businesses from their boats. There are also, by the way, plenty of rulers of nations who've got boats. And they're essentially running the government from the middle of the Mediterranean or the Caribbean or wherever while they're having a nice time. You don't know how secure they are. On the whole, they don't know how secure they are. And this is also a problem. And I can go into many examples to do with cruise ships. So this is a highly unprotected industry. They need to know what they have, not quite down to the last nut and bolt, but they need to have a clear idea of what systems they have, what data they have, what operations they have that depend on any kind of electronic surveillance, control, and so on and so forth. So they've got to be able to go around literally their whole estate. So we've got X types of computers, including all of the PCs that have been allocated to staff. We've got these servers. We've got these surveillance cameras, electronically controlled access gates, and so on and so forth. And they've got to, at the very least, start with that. And then each one they've got to be able to break down to what is in it, what operating system, what software, what data, how's it interconnected. It's a lot of work, but it has to be done. And by the way, one of the reasons it has to be done is that if something goes wrong, they have no idea of what the systems are all about, they're not going to be able to recover them properly. So they're going to waste an enormous amount of money rebuilding And incidentally, in the course of mapping their systems, they will see, oh, we've got certain things that actually are not functional anymore, so they can take them out of service altogether and save money. They'll see things that need to be replaced simply because they're not actually working properly, and so they'll become more efficient. It's a management process more than a technology process, but then having done this, they can actually start to examine the security of the networks, of the software, of the hardware. It's probably going to require external services, but they'll at least know what they have, and then they can start mapping out what needs to be strengthened. It's going to take a certain amount of work and management time. If they don't do it, when they eventually get hit, and my attitude is always, there's no if you're going to be hacked, it's when you're going to be hacked. They will know what to do. Also, there are other issues to do with regulatory compliance, reputation loss. If we're talking about a public company, then probably they're going to have to report to the stock exchange that they've been hacked. They're going to have to deal with the media, and so on and so forth. If they are on top of things, the damage will be a lot less. The truth is that the damage is greater because we're talking about people's lives, but the process is very much the same. If you want to be prepared for when you are hit by a hacker, then you actually go through a certain set of preparations. And it makes life a great deal easier. Incidentally, if you go to talk to any of these big financial institutions here in Canary Wharf, 99% certainty they will have these preparations in hand, because they will actually have board directors who insist that certain things happen. The maritime industry, because it's older, more traditional, and less accustomed to moving fast, thinks differently. It's got to start to learn from other industries. Look, 5G is very sexy technology because it enables you to connect everyone wirelessly without having complicated cabling and fiber optics and so on and so forth. It's fast, it's supposedly very efficient. The problem is that it's very new. It hasn't really had all of the bugs ironed out. And I don't even want to get into the issue of security question marks to do with the main provider of 5G technology, which is a well-known Chinese company, Huawei. I'm not saying, by the way, that Huawei is automatically in the business of spying on anyone or plotting to sabotage their systems. After all, they want to sell more boxes, more services, and therefore they have to do it fairly cleanly. But it's a relatively untested technology. And if you start to investigate all of the security experts' opinions on 5G, and by the way, it's not only 5G, but that combined with another technology called IPv6, Internet Protocol version 6, which is the way everything is mapped out and addressed. You have two technologies that are not completely mature, not completely secure, and not everyone understands how to use them. And that's a big problem. It would be better to do more experimentation with 5G and similar systems, but not actually to have everything dependent on them until you find out the bugs. Look, cloud is basically the code word for put your information technology system somewhere else. Use someone else's servers, someone else's connectivity. There's nothing inherently more secure about cloud. Well, there's also nothing inherently less secure about cloud. There are very well-known cloud providers, without naming names, that have had major disasters. And there are small offices that are not using the cloud, they have everything in-house, that are perfectly secure. The whole point of cloud is basically to give someone else the technical headaches, and you just consume data and services. If it works well, it works very well. Now, within the context of IoT, what matters is that IoT has a lot of devices, a lot of data. and probably a lot of different types. And you're hoping that your cloud provider has the know-how to deal with all of this. And probably you'll be right that you can't guarantee this. And I think that one of the things that we're still learning is how well cloud service companies are dealing with IoT, given that also pretty well every IoT device comes out of the box with a default password. And on the whole, it's installed with the default password. And there are many other aspects of core security. I've been directly involved in IoT security standards. And from what I've learned, it's pretty lousy.